Right, thank you very much for nominating us or shortlisting us. Thank CANSO for us to be in front of you guys today. So it really is a real honor for us to be here. This is all about Operation Zenith, and some of you may have heard me talking about Operation Zenith beforehand. And it's a joint collaboration between Altitude Angel and Frequentis. That's not to say other partners weren't involved in this. And there are two key players who are also involved, and it's NATS and their fantastic team at Manchester Airport, who played a fantastic role in making all of this happen. And also Manchester Airport itself for being brave enough to actually allow drones to fly around adjacent to the airport and indeed actually on the airport. So how did this all come about? Altitude Angel then was founded 2014 by a guy called Richard Parker. He got quite excited about this new toy, these things called drones. And he saw that actually there's quite a potential around here. We could do stuff with this. But of course, how are we going to integrate these things safely into the airspace? They must be managed really, really carefully and safely. A couple of years on from there then, he had a little stand at WAC, and a gentleman called Mr. Bardak came along, kind of liked the conversation there, and then a couple of weeks later, he was invited out to Vienna, and there he was in front of the CEO at Frequentis. A team of engineers came along, and they said, right, how are we going to integrate these things safely? How are we going to take information from an app, people filing a flight plan on an app, and how are we going to get that information in a format that an ATCO would recognize? How can we actually do that? So it was using Frequentis electronic flight strips is the way we did that. And it went quite simply from an Altitude Angel app into a system, operating system, and onto the electronic flight strip which Frequentis developed. So what we had then up at Manchester, went up to Manchester to have a conversation, said, look, can we do this around your airfield? Can we have some drone activity near your airfield just to demonstrate how we can do this kind of activity? Manchester didn't seem that happy about it. It went, oh, well, not really sure, not really sure. A bit grumpy about it. I thought they might be excited. Perhaps it's the industry's not quite there yet. They got into a huddle, then they came out and said, we don't like it being adjacent to the airfield at all. Why can't you do this on the airfield? We want you to fly drones around the airfield, demonstrate your technology. Come on, prove to us it actually works. So they came up with this idea then on airfield delivery service. He said, in order to improve safety, we want to reduce the number of vehicles driving around the airport, driving across the aprons. There are too many accidents that happen. So the airlines, if there's an engineering fault with an aircraft, they've got to take from their spares unit, they've got to drive a vehicle off the airfield, use the public roads, and come in through another security gate, which takes a long, long time. It can apparently take up to an hour to go through a security gate at an airport. With the pressures from the EU Commission, with passenger compensation, the airlines were very, very interested in this, saying, well, actually, can we just fly a drone? We'll put a spare part on the drone, and we'll just fly it across the airfield. So that's what we did. And we filed it again. It's a short notice operation. Filed it through an app, and it went into the air traffic control tower, onto an electronic flight strip, and they could see straight away exactly what that drone was wanting to do. Another classic one would be a pavement inspection. We can do these routine pavement inspections. It's all carried on as the airports are operating, no effect at all. And I think there are a lot of companies now seeing the benefits of actually using drone for doing survey activity. VLOS operations, very common one this is, but lots and lots of companies now starting to use VLOS, visual line of sight operations for survey work, whether it be tower, light stanchions, aerial, checking out aerial inspections, sorry. So it's going to become more and more popular, and we want to integrate it into the airport. Safeguarding, that's quite apt after Christmas. Here we had multiple technologies coming together. We had lots and lots of sensors coming together, and we were able to provide an air picture. So we could actually see drones. People are now filing drones, so that's good. We know about these drones. But also, by having a multitude of sensors, we can see who hasn't filed a drone. We can actually identify a rogue operator, and we can track and monitor that, which I think is going to become more and more important as drones become more and more involved in everyday life. Airspace closures. This is quite an interesting one. We had the police, we said, right, we want to close a piece of airspace off, close it all down because we want to get a police helicopter in to do, let's say, a missing person search, something along those kind of lines. The important thing about this is, how do you know that airspace is clear? How do we know there are no drones in that airspace? So what we're able to do is rebroadcast all the drone information, the complete air picture, up to the flight deck of the aircraft, and the aircraft now could go into that airspace knowing there aren't any drones operating. And the police are involved in this. They said it's the first time we've ever had that situational awareness on a flight deck. And they said, this is absolutely fantastic. This will save lives. So we're very, very pleased that that worked. And finally then, we've got this beyond visual line of sight operations. This is where we get to see the drone industry take off. Pardon the pun. As soon as we can start doing beyond visual line of sight operations, routine beyond visual line of sight operations, outside of regulated airspace, non-segregated, this is where the industry will take off. So we need to be able to track and monitor this kind of activity. And this is what we did in Operation Zenith. And the sensors that we were involved in to keep this complete air picture, so everybody could see this good air picture, and it could be seen up in the tower, air traffic control tower. As I say, we could rebroadcast it to aircraft. We had to use aeroscope, DJI aeroscope capabilities. We had ADS-B fed in. We had RF technology, Doppler X-band radar coming in. We had Mode S, Mode Alpha, so we've got a complete air picture, all coming into this thing called what we call Guardian UTM, which is our operating system. And we could use that information, which we're collecting together, and so people can see and benefit from it nicely. So what are the future then? So what are we going to do post-Operation Zenith? We did this as a one short trial, or one short exercise. So what was the real purpose of it? Well, firstly, it's confidence. We want to provide the industry with a level of confidence that this new technology is nothing to be scared of. And new technologies need to be adopted by the industry. And you can see then we can provide a more improved situation awareness picture. As I've already mentioned, a real-time air picture, bringing all those sensors together. As we know, traditional air traffic control radars, we can't see these drones. We need another way of tracking and monitoring them. So this demonstrated that capability. Enabling access. Now, this may seem a bit strange, but why on earth do we want these drones flying around an airport? We'd rather get them away. There are all these airspace restrictions. Why do we want them near an airport or anywhere around like that at all? I think we need to start instilling the right behaviors for drone operators. If we make it easy for them to access the airspace, if we make it sensible and find methods which we're familiar with today, whether it be an app or on a tablet, we can start instilling the right behaviors. And if it's easy for them to do, they'll get it done, and they'll happy to do it, and we'll know about the drone activity. We'll see real-time situation awareness. If we say no to these drone operators, I think we'll start to get more and more rogue operators coming in. They'll just go, well, I'll give it a go. They can't see me. I'll give it a try. Why don't I just, what's going to happen? What's the worst that's going to happen? Because a lot of these drone operators don't have an aviation background. They're not familiar. So we need to make sure simple, easy steps to access the airspace, and they can get an understanding of how the airspace actually works. So moving on then from Operation Zenith, what came about then? Working with NATS, we set up this airspace user portal. So the technology that came together for Zenith, we've now moved it on, airspace user portal, which has been launched at 6 airports in the UK. This is a tool that provides airports with a method of processing the flight plans of a drone. We understand that there's no airport that can afford to employ many, many people to manage the potential numbers of drones which are going to come around. We must simplify that process. And this is what the aim of this thing does. On an app, they can file a flight plan, go straight through to the user portal up in the tower. They can have an automatic approval process if they wish to, or perhaps some more risque operations, they can go through and manually approve, have a look at greater depth. But we must improve the process. We are very, very aware that we can't possibly increase the burden on air traffic control. They just don't have the capacity to do that. We must integrate safely with current ATM and make it familiar with the way they operate. So finally then, this activity, this collaboration, it's 3 main partners then, NATS, Frequentis, and Manchester Airport. But it wasn't just 4 companies coming together. This was a massive event. It was 25 companies from around the world came together, 120 people, all coordinated, all coming together in one place to make sure Operation Zenith happened, demonstrating how drones could be integrated into the airspace safely. And just to add that little bit of extra complexity, We didn't think everybody wanted to go to Northern England to watch this and stand in the middle of a field to see what was going on. So the whole lot of them was live stream broadcast down in London at the Royal Aeronautical Society. And I think it's considered a very, very good success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Philip, again for respecting the 10 minutes. Again, same process. Questions, please?
None.
You were stunningly clear. Klaus Dieter. Let me...
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very impressive, but I have a question for clarification. Are you already able to provide a real-time air picture, or are you still developing the capability to do so?
No, we got that. Our Guardian UTM capability, we can take, as long as the sensor feed is digitalized, we can feed it into the operating system, and depending on what customer wants to see, we can filter it accordingly. So we've demonstrated we can do standard air traffic radar going in, secondary radar, mode S, I'll say these other additional sensors, and depending on what the customer wants, we can process it, yeah, and get a full, clear situation awareness picture.
Thanks, Philip. Further question?
Miguel Caparrós for FT. One of the users of your system will be air traffic controllers. Do you have any plan to train them to get used to work with the system?
You mean establishing a training plan for them and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something we'd have to work with our customers and how they wish to move forward. So we've done some work with NATS and this airspace user portal. Working out the MOPS and CONOPS will be absolutely essential to how that's going to work for the individual, whether it's an individual tower or individual center. But that's something we'd work with very, very closely. And it's, as I say, I really wanted to stress that working with Frequentis and their electronic flight search capability, we want to try and make it as easy to be integrated into the working behaviors of an ATCO. It can't be complicated. So and I think that's the difficult thing. And therefore, by going down that route also, it should be minimal training is necessary.
Thank you. Any further questions?
This gentleman over there.
Thank you. Great presentation. Thank you. And congratulations on the very progressive approach by doing on-air field deliveries, which I really enjoyed. I didn't hear how many deliveries were completed.
We only did the one. It was basically the exercise ran for about 40 minutes, and we wanted to demonstrate as many technical capabilities as possible in that time. And one of them being a clear one, which Manchester Airport wanted us to do, was this on-air field delivery. So we just demonstrated that we could do this on-air field delivery and integrate it with aircraft taxiing around, but it was just one exercise at that time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Philip.
Cheers. Thank you very much.